Gretna has this.
Yes. So my
It's the only place I can drink it. Yes, it takes me an hour to drink.
Are we good here, Jose? That sounds good. Thanks. Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Sarpy County and Sarpy City's Wastewater Agency meeting. Today is October 23rd. It's 4 p.m. Copy of the Nebraska Open Meeting Acts is located on the north wall of the agency boardroom. We'll hold the meeting in accordance with those, which also means that anybody from the public can speak on any agenda item if they want. And if you decide to do that, just we'll ask you to state your name and address for the record. Roll call today. We have the mayor of Springfield, Bob Roseland, the mayor of Gretna, Mike Evans, the mayor of La Vista, Doug Kindig, the mayor of Bellevue, Rusty Hike, the city administrator for Papillion, Amber Powers. I'm Don Kelly. I represent Sarpy County. We also have our agency administrator, Dan Hoynes, here, our legal counsel's here, our engineers here, and our secretary's here. And I believe somewhere maybe in the audience, our treasurer's here.
That is correct.
Awesome. If you would, silence your cell phones, and let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would any of the board members like to make a comment? Any comments? Okay, we'll get.
They're in the World Series.
Well, that counts, I guess. All right, then we'll start with our staff updates and reports. Dan Hoynes, Administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, member mayors. I had to try and strike the balance between the update today and my wife's birthday that I need to get home, so you're going to win. It should be a lot. A little bit of a segue that...
Tell your wife happy birthday.
What's that?
Tell her happy birthday.
Yeah, her and 97 others on Facebook. I'll be sure that you landed in there, but... you shouldn't be led astray by the light agenda today and correlate that with any lack of activity. There is a lot going on behind the scenes leading up to the next two meetings coming through here. And I'm going to touch on just a couple of those. The first one we've been at for months, amending the agency master plan. One that was originally adopted in 2019, I think modified in 2022. The primary reason, Mr. Chairman, members, we're doing that is to align it with some best engineering practices and to create clarity, not just for the agency, but for the development community moving forward. It needs an update. And finally, it has to be an attachment to the member service agreements that we're working on, another heavy lift. So you asked me, we met a couple weeks ago, Mr. Chair, about why don't the other agency members have member service agreements? That's a really good question. I think maybe we work at it every day and we assume a lot. The answer to that question, and I kind of alluded to it in my first comments in my written report, is on day one, and we are scheduled to complete this by the end of this year, deliver it. There's only two members that will be flowing exclusively into the line, the City of Springfield and the Sarpy County line that they constructed in 2017. That's the only ones we'll take flow from. Now, there is an exception to that. We do have an agreement, a singular agreement for the City of Papillion to connect into and flow into our system for the Oakleaf development from a couple of years ago. But as Papillion wants to connect, then we would execute in other areas. We do a member service agreement with them. As Bellevue wants to come on, we do a member service agreement with them. And as Gretna eventually comes on, we do a member service. So it's not all one on day one. So I wanted to take just a couple of moments and articulate that to you about coming in with member service agreements and why doesn't everybody? Short answer, not everybody's flowing into the system. The Springfield Member Service Agreement, I think we have made significant progress on that document. We've reached what I refer to as tentative agreement with the City of Springfield, Agency Springfield. That's being vetted and reviewed by the various agency members as we speak. We're getting some feedback, but I'm going to schedule weekly meetings with the agency administrators, and if needed, with agency legal counsels or member legal counsels to work through those and try and get those up. We certainly, November 20th is a target date, but it can't go past I think it's December 11th meeting, because we need those flows coming on. And it gets, I don't know, sometimes it seems like we have it resolved and then a few more issues come up. But it's 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. And they're important agreements. I'm not critical at all. They should take some time, but we're getting really, really close with Springfield. Other things, just a couple more things. I am discussing, and I've discussed with the chair and vice chair, I call it the reestablishment of a finance committee. As you know, I start to run towards the end of the first year in here. It's pretty obvious to me that we, the agency, me in particular, can do a better job of communicating agency financials on a consistent basis to the administrators and the agency board coming through. And so you did appoint Mark Seth out here last month. He's formally been on the job since October 14th. I've met with him. Jeff's met with him. He's scheduling a meeting with Carollo. Lisa's met with him. Tony Gay's met with him already here in the first week. What I've talked to Mark about moving forward, that I think it's the January 22nd, 2025 agency board meeting, we will put a standing report from the agency treasurer to the board, much like Jeff and I do, that he will appear before you every month and kind of walk through more of that. Also, concurrently with that, I talked to Bonnie at Sarpy County, and we're working together on a process to do better communication with Sarpy County, review the WIFIA loan, talk about uses, process those things. So Bonnie and I have committed to working on that over the next few months and getting a resolution up here. So in the interest of my wife's birthday, I think I'll just stop there. So any questions, Mr. Chair, member mayors?
Could you tell us what the Finance Committee membership's going to look like?
That's TBD. There's a draft right now, and it's a discussion with the various administrators. I value tremendously what they have to say, but one of the things is, as I looked at what we did in 2019, there were names on there that people aren't even involved in government anymore by specific names. We're talking about by position. But the draft would have a couple of agency board members appointed by the chair. And then the 4 remaining that weren't represented by an appointment would be the voting members of the Finance Committee. But myself, the agency treasurer, and all other administrators would be advisors ad hoc and go to every meeting. But it's just a little bit of trial and error, but I'm a little frustrated more with myself than anything else on the process about getting you the numbers that you need. And so I think having Mark on board and having him work 35 feet down from us here and provide those reports and getting some feedback from I will say elected/appointed officials in here, I'd see high value, but that could change. It's being reviewed. I'm taking comments from the various administrators, but I would anticipate that resolution reestablishing that, Mr. Chair, at the November 20th meeting.
Thank you. Any other questions for Dan? Okay, Jeff Thompson, project engineer.
Chairman Kelly, Agency Member Mayors, Jeff Thompson, project engineer for the agency. Appreciate your time here today. Really brief, short report for this month. All the pipe for the project is installed, with the exception of the last 150 feet between the SCI line and the lift station in Springfield. Hawkins Construction has completed all the soil stabilization for the bedding underneath that pipe, and they've started the excavation for that and are on their way towards the lift station wet well location for that particular pipe. I expect by the end of the week, they'll probably be done with that pipe, and they'll start backfilling and getting that site cleaned up. They've poured all the concrete, or at least most of the concrete at the surface for the building, the electrical building, and expect that they'll be setting that here relatively soon. As Dan has stated, we are still targeting the end of the year for that commissioning and operation. The segment 2 force main pipe did test out well. We didn't have any issues with that. As I reported last month, the installation of that was complete, but hadn't been tested. All the tests passed and met satisfactory specifications there. In regards to the lift station at Mitchell Road, last week I watched paint dry for about 8 hours, watching that thing run, more or less. It's just a sequence of steps that we do to commission that system. We run it with circulation pumps and things just to set it through its paces, make sure everything's working appropriately. I expect that once we get Springfield on board and we start pumping between the two, that we'll have some communication things to work out and some other testing that we'll have to do. But for all intents and purposes, things are going along very well, and I expect within the next 60 days that that project will be complete and we'll be ready to take service. So be happy to answer any questions you might have in regards to construction update.
Oh, thanks, Joe.
Dan, did you want to report anything about Monday?
Okay, before we move to the consent agenda, I have an alibi. This is kind of tentative, but still in works, but looks like on Monday, we're going to be hosting Congressman Flood for a tour of some of the sites, and Dan and Jeff will be coordinating that. We've invited, I'm going to attend. I invited Mayor Kindig, but that gives us room for one more agency member. If anyone's interested, let us know. It'll be sometime late afternoon on Monday. It's just an hour. So we'll try to make the most of the time that we have. It's great to get a congressional representative out here to see what we're trying to do. It'll be helpful. Okay, consent agenda, 2 items. Any of the agency members want to see either move to the regular agenda? If not, take a motion to approve.
Motion, Bellevue. Second.
Motion by Bellevue, second by Springfield to approve the consent agenda as published. Please vote.
Yea, 6, nays none, motion carries.
Okay, on to the regular agenda. Item 5, actually it's the only agenda item, is Resolution 41 authorizing agreement with MUD of Omaha regarding certain water system data and information. Jeff.
Thanks, Chairman Kelly, agency member mayors. This is a very simple, straightforward agreement with MUD. We did have legal counsel review it as we're working through the master planning efforts, talking with stakeholders. There's an interest in understanding where a lot of the water systems in relationship to the sewer systems will be located in regards to development paths and those kinds of things. In order to retrieve that data from MUD in a digital format, they'd asked that we execute this non-disclosure agreement, essentially not providing that to the public, but making it strictly for our own internal use. So very simple, straightforward agreement with them. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by LaVista, second by Gratna. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Yea, 6, nays none, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next meeting is going to be November 20th, 2024. And by then we'll have a World Series winner. Maybe one of us will be happy and maybe not. But since we've accomplished all the agenda items as addressed and published, this meeting is adjourned.
The bigger question is, will we be bowl eligible?